Invisible wounds are mental and emotional wounds, and they're on the inside. They're not obvious like a burn or a laceration, but they can cause just as much, if not more, pain. Hello, and welcome to the Pause First Academy channel. I'm Kim Colegrove. I'm an author and the owner of Pause First Academy, where we offer wellness and resilience, training and support for society's warriors, protectors, guardians, and healers. If you're new to the channel, I would love for you to give me a like, drop a comment below, and if you haven't subscribed and you've been listening and enjoying these videos, then please subscribe. It would really help me grow the channel and get this information out in front of more people. All right, let's jump into today's topic. Today's topic is invisible wounds. In case you don't know, I will just tell you briefly that I work exclusively with society's warriors, protectors, guardians, and healers. So first responders, veterans, nurses, firefighters, emergency medical folks, mental health professionals, social workers, and many, many others. Basically, if your job exposes you to trauma and the trauma of others, I consider you a warrior or one of the helpers, and you're part of the group of people that I work with. I started off as a mindfulness and meditation teacher in corporate settings, but after I lost my husband to suicide, just 3 months after he retired from a 30-year law enforcement career, I turned my attention to this group, and I've worked with this group full-time since 2017. Today, we're talking about invisible wounds, which are common across all the professions that I listed in really any of these helping professions. People are carrying invisible wounds. I'm going to read to you today from my first book, Mindfulness for Warriors. In this book, I tell the story about losing my husband. I actually take a kind of a deep dive into just into that story. And I also interview 9 veterans and first responders who share that they struggled similarly. And more important than that, they share with us how they got well and how they were able to survive it and how they stay well. But today I'm here to talk to you about invisible wounds. So I'm going to read just a little bit from chapter 1, which is called From Widow to Warrior. And I'm going to touch on invisible wounds here by reading this segment of this chapter and then talk a little bit more about it. So this chapter opens up by saying, "Show me a hero and I'll write you a tragedy," which is a quote by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Show me a hero and I'll write you a tragedy. My husband dedicated 30 years of his life to a profession that trains warriors for battle but has no context for healing the invisible wounds of warfare. Did the job kill my husband? No. Was it a contributor? Absolutely. Our first responders and everyone across these helping professions are very well trained, but their training does not prepare them for the mental and emotional impacts of the job. And that brings us to invisible wounds. A majority of people across these professions suffer from symptoms of post-traumatic stress, which is a condition that develops in some people who encounter trauma. Trauma is a deeply distressing or disturbing experience that alters a person's ability to cope. The average citizen has no idea what first responders and others in these helping professions see, hear, and endure throughout their careers. They are constantly exposed to and affected by the trauma of others, accidents, disaster, violence, abuse, neglect, victimization, and death. This type of trauma is known as secondary trauma. First responders and others in the helping professions regularly encounter scenes and circumstances that most of us could not stomach. The sights, sounds, and smells from these experiences leave imprints on their psyches. Memories and images can continue to harm them after the event is over, and very often, these invisible wounds do not heal on their own. Post-traumatic stress, or PTS, and secondary trauma are not visible like a burn or a gunshot wound or a laceration. They occur on the inside, unseen, but they can cause just as much, if not more, pain. Left untreated, PTS, post-traumatic stress, and secondary trauma can be stealthy killers. They quietly ruin health, relationships, families, and lives. They can cause people to withdraw and isolate, or rage and lash out. They create devastation and rob individuals of the most basic human rights: life, love, and joy. However, they are treatable. But in order for treatment to become normalized, the shame and disgrace attached to seeking help must be eliminated. And the shame and disgrace attached to seeking help is called stigma. And that is the next topic in this chapter. And stigma is something that I will talk about down the road a little bit. Today, I want to talk about invisible wounds. There is a commonality among people in these professions, and I have worked with a lot of veterans and first responders, and I've more recently started working more with nurses, victim service advocates, and other mental health professionals and social workers. And my own daughter works in a social work type of capacity. She works at a psychiatric residential facility for children, and she's on the clinical team. And you wouldn't think of that job as being classified as a warrior or a first responder, but my definition of a warrior and the groups that I work with really is kind of something like, if your job exposes you to trauma and the trauma of others, you're a warrior, because you keep going into the arena and showing up and fighting the good fight. And certainly people who work in psychiatric settings and do social work, and other mental health professionals, clinicians and therapists, nonstop exposed to the trauma of others. And people in these professions do tend to carry invisible wounds. Now, one would like to think that people who work in mental health might be better about taking care of themselves, but that's not always true. It's not always true. But what I can tell you in my, I don't know how many years now of work with first responders and these surrounding professions is that nobody's talking. Everybody wants to act like they're okay. They go to work and they look around and they say, everyone else seems okay. Like, why can't I handle this? Everyone else seems good. And if you ask them how they're doing, even after a crisis or a disaster, a big event, a critical incident, ask them most, how are you doing? Good. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm fine. And that's the way it's been throughout history. But we're learning more and more now about the damage that these invisible wounds can do to an individual. So it's the mental and emotional fallout. It's the pain and the trauma that people carry on the inside. And it endures long after the event or the incident has occurred. I'm bringing this up today to get you to do a little introspection, just to raise awareness and to encourage you to take a look inside. Are you carrying some invisible wounds? Are you suffering from? Let's not say carrying, okay? It's too light. Are you struggling with or suffering from invisible wounds? Do you have invisible wounds that are causing you pain? Mental and emotional things that you carry on the inside but you don't talk to anybody about? I want that to change. I hope that you will consider talking to somebody. I have endless resources, tricks, tips, and tools, ideas and suggestions to help you take that first step or two onto a healing path or onto a wellness path. In fact, something you can do on your own is I have a pretty robust resource list that's available over on Pause First Academy. It's a free downloadable and printable PDF. And this resource list has articles, books, websites, apps, um, rehabilitation facilities, and so on and so forth. A lot of different resources. This is a resource. This resource list is something that you could go download and print off, or just download to one of your devices, and then it gives you a confidential way to go look at some resources that are available. A lot of these resources I pulled from the 24 or so people that I've uh, interviewed across my books. So everyone I've interviewed for my books, they all come from these professions. Um, so they know what they're talking about. They're your peers. And most of the resources in that resource list I've pulled from these people that I've spoken to. And then others are ones that I've done my very best. I've looked them up. I had some help putting that resource list together. And I've done my very best to vet those resources. So what do you say you start today and you stop carrying around this heavy, invisible load, and take a deep breath, consider whether or not some of this mental and emotional load, or these invisible wounds that you're carrying, whether or not that they're impacting you, which I can promise they are. And are you ready to do something about them? Are you ready to, at the very least, kind of take a look inside and take a look at them? Awareness is huge. Admitting to this is huge. Increasing your awareness of what's going on inside of your head and your heart, and then admitting that you're carrying a heavy load. These are these first steps that can help lead you to getting help. And help means something different to everybody. Maybe you just need some new personal practices to help you regulate your nervous system and reduce your stress. Maybe you're someone who needs to talk to somebody, a trusted friend, or maybe even a therapist. There are all kinds of ways that you can seek out help. You can read a book by somebody with a similar background. You can find a podcast or a YouTube channel that you trust to learn more about what's going on with you. But as I like to say, the one thing that I encourage you not to do is nothing. Please don't do nothing. Please do something. All right, today I just wanted to bring up the topic of invisible wounds. I have resources available. I have my resource directory available over on Pause First Academy. If you need some self-regulation or stress reduction practices, you can connect with me over there. I have a free meditation class available right now. It's called Demystifying Meditation. It won't be free forever, but I'll always have something over there for free. Or you can just scroll through my YouTube videos. I have one on breathing, one on meditation, one on mindfulness. And always, if I can help connect you with a resource, if you're in crisis, please call 988. And I have on that directory, on the resource directory, I have other crisis phone numbers available. I also have crisis phone numbers available on my website. You can go to pausefirst.com, pausefirst.com. That's the website. There's the website side, and then there's the academy side. Go over to pausefirst.com and scroll down, and you'll see some crisis numbers. So definitely, if you're feeling like at the level of crisis, make a phone call. Like, stop what you're doing right now and go make a phone call. And you're always welcome to reach out to me. You can reach out to me through the website or through the Academy site, or feel free to email me directly, Kim Colegrove at pausefirst.com. I'll throw that email address up on the screen here, Kim Colegrove at pausefirst.com. Feel free to reach out to me. I've been doing this work for a long time. I will always do my best to help connect you with the resource that's right for you. But now I want you to say it with me. What are we not going to do? We're not going to do nothing. Starting today, we're going to do something to face the trauma and the invisible wounds that might be really weighing us down, and it doesn't have to continue to be like that. I hope you'll connect with me over at Pause First Academy, the Academy site, academy.pausefirst.com. I will provide all of that information at the end of this video and the ways to connect with me. Thank you for being here. If you are enjoying my videos and you haven't subscribed yet, I would really appreciate that. You're always welcome to leave a comment below as well, especially if there's any topic that I haven't talked about and you'd like me to address it. Just let me know in the comments and I'll make sure and put that in the rotation. I appreciate your time. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.